Nobody does?
No.
I,
Nobody
I
likes the
like
claw.
it.
Nobody likes
I
the claw.
like...
Nobody likes the claw.
The lemon one
I
is
stole
good.
from Shane Dawson's channel before he was canceled.
Nobody likes the claw.
The lemon one is really good. The lemon one is really good. Some of their flavors are really nasty. I mean, I'll give you that. But there are like 3 that are really good. Okay. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to our podcast, Macabre Curiosity. I'm Isaac.
I'm Bree.
And I'm Kelsey.
And today's topic is going to be another music-related topic. It is Rob Zombie, the one, the only.
Oh my
Musician, singer, songwriter, and, of course, horror filmmaker. This guy's films tend to have an emphasis on violence and gore, sometimes to the point of extreme camp, but that's partially why we love him.
Sometimes.
And a big cool part of being a musician and a horror film director is that he also made a lot of music for his own movies and featured a lot of it on his albums too. And
He also made comics.
Yes,
yes, he did.
Yeah, chill out. It's a discussion. It's fine. Relax. Yeah, he made fucking comics too. I'm actually reading one right now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you can read a couple of them, but so far they're...
L's Super Beasto or something like that.
Yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah, that's one of them. That's one of his movies is based on.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway...
Okay. Music genres. Sorry, guys. I've never done this before. This is weird.
So, okay. Rob Zombie, yo. Fucking, god damn it. He's done so much artistically.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's got his little fingers in all sorts of little pies.
Seriously. Super multi-talented guy.
Are we...
I'm trying to decide how to phrase this here. He's done a lot of different styles of music over the years, ranging everywhere from noise rock to groove metal, shock rock, industrial metal, nu metal, and whatever other genre descriptors you want to use. His music has been heavily influenced by horror and the occult, and artistically ties into his movies a lot. There's lots of fun concepts in his movies, ranging from necrophilia to freak shows to satanic orgies, and back to more necrophilia.
He really likes that necrophilia. Big fan.
He really did. Got deep into that shit.
I feel like I'm being schooled right now.
Yeah.
I just want to throw that out. I feel like I'm in a classroom. I'm having PTSD
I wish
over
we
this.
could have taken classes where we learned about bands that we like. That would have been so fun.
Right?
Man.
Seriously. My God.
Teacher Isaac.
Teacher Isaac would need to practice a little bit more.
Just like finish the episode. Just like, teacher, what about this?
Oh, fuck, yeah.
So does
Alright.
anyone want to talk about how we were first introduced to him?
Yeah. I was first introduced to Rob Zombie through a friend of mine who I first met in middle school. And, I would have been 12 and a half or so. And I remember, this was some of the first, actual heavy metal or, hard rock that I had ever listened to. And I thought it was just, the, darkest, most intense, scariest but coolest thing ever. And I felt like such a badass, listening to Rob Zombie,
Yeah. Changes you.
And, this friend of mine, he knew the entire Call of the Zombie chant from the beginning of his first album. And he would recite it all the time.
Oh my
Oh
god.
my god. I can see him doing that.
Oh, yeah. So middle school, I knew that freaking chant like the back of my hand. I can't really remember it now, but yeah. So yeah, that was some of my earliest experience, and yeah, of course, watching his some of his earlier music videos on DVD or whatever.
What about you, Bree?
You know, I realize this makes me sound like I'm dirt poor and everything. But the first time I heard Rob Zombie, like, really remember listening to him is back when I used to work on fences with my dad when I was like 8 or 9 or so. And
Oh,
like I would be out in the middle of the gravel pit and everything, like welding with my dad, like cutting up the pieces with the grinder and filing it down and getting it all prepped together and measurements. But we always did it in my dad's truck, and he always had like a couple CDs with him, and one of his favorites was Rob Zombie. So I remember like working, like sweating my ass off to fucking Rob Zombie and just like fucking jamming out and shit.
hell yeah.
And like from there, like I tried to listen to it as often as I could, but it was kind of hard because my mom felt like it was too manly. And
Too aggressive.
no, it was just too masculine. So she wanted me to be more feminine, that's why. You can see how well that worked out.
Great plan, Mom. Great plan.
So she always, like, anytime I would try to like listen to the CD, she usually took it away. So I only remember it from like working.
Oh, shit. Well, shit. I mean, that's a great environment to kind of be exposed to it.
Yeah.
Busting your ass.
Hell yeah. Like, oh man, it was great. It was great, but now the bad thing is like I can't really listen to Rob Zombie like by itself, you know, just like chilling and like laying there or whatever. I can't do it. If it's playing, like I automatically I'm thinking like, oh, I gotta go to work.
Hell yeah. So true. Yeah. Like, get up and move kind of music. Seriously.
Yeah, and that's what I really love about him is like no matter what, like that jam, that jam,
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
that jam. All right, Kelsey.
Well, I think I remember getting into him because of my stepdad. Like we had always like I remember always knowing about like his first band White Zombie because like that has been around since what was the late 80s, early 90s?
Oh yeah. Late 80s, I believe.
Yeah. So I knew about White Zombie, but
Yeah.
I didn't put two and two together until like the Sinister Urge came out. But the first time that I like listened to Rob Zombie and got into his music was when literally right when Hellbilly Deluxe came out. Because like
Oh
my
wow.
dad played that shit all the time, and that was one of the few rock artists that I liked because I was very, very into boy bands and Britney Spears and shit like that. But I really liked Rob Zombie and Nirvana, so
My gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've just always, I don't know, Rob Zombie's kind of like always been there. It's kind of weird. Like that's just one of the bands that like adults around me listen to. So
Like all the time when you were growing up too.
yeah,
Like it was like constantly playing.
Living
Like you
Dead Girl
found
was
it
always
everywhere.
playing.
Always.
Everywhere. Everywhere.
Oh
90s
my
are fun.
Yeah. So, are we going to talk about who exactly is Rob Zombie? Because, you
Yeah.
know.
Get into who exactly is Rob Zombie. How did he become Rob Zombie?
Yeah.
Let's see. He was born as Robert Cummings in Haverhill, Massachusetts on January 12th, 1965. And he first discovered music actually through watching TV and cartoons and hearing the theme songs.
Yeah.
And early in his life, his parents worked in a carnival, and I think definitely some of this influence can be seen in Hellbilly Deluxe. There's some freak show and elements and stuff like that kind of tied into it.
Oh yeah.
Circus elements. But yeah, his parents worked at a carnival, but they left after a violent riot broke out at the carnival.
Jesus.
And so yeah, you can only imagine what kind of impact that had on young Robert Cummings. And yeah, he had a fascination with horror from a pretty young age and would often stay up late into the night watching his favorite movies. And he's been quoted as saying that growing up, he wanted to be Alice Cooper, Steven Spielberg, Bela Lugosi, and Stan Lee.
Jesus.
And he achieved some degree of all of those in the
Yeah.
end, which is
Yeah.
kind of cool. And yeah, and in school, he was not a good student. He hated school, couldn't pay attention, really didn't like it, and he took as many art classes as he possibly could. And yeah, there's a story he tells where in his second years of high school, he would just go to school, check in, go in for attendance or whatever, and then just leave the school and go do whatever else for the rest of the day, do whatever he wanted. And as long as he got his schoolwork done and his artwork and all his assignments turned in, he'd get passing grades and, had good grades for attendance because at that time or whatever and where he grew up, the teachers no one just paid enough attention to know that he was never there.
Oh my god.
And so he just totally flubbed through his last 2 years of high school. But yeah, graduated high school in 1983 with lots of experience in art, and moved to New York City and attended the Pratt Institute, where he met then-girlfriend and eventual bandmate Shawn Isolt.
That's how you say her last name?
Yes, I went. I Googled it so hard. I was like, how the fuck do you pronounce that shit? Yeah. And yeah, he met Shawn Isolt. And from that point on, in 1985, he conceptualized the band White Zombie and co-founded it with her.
Aww.
Yeah. So, yeah, at the first start of it, they were in a relationship and in like a working relationship creating music together, which is kind of cool. And you'll see that kind of echoed later on in his life with his eventual wife, too. Okay. Founded White Zombie in 1985. Their very first EP, the very first EP Rob Zombie ever put out was called Gods on Voodoo Moon. And it came out in October, surprise, surprise, of 1985. And
that's a great name.
that is a great name. I love that too. It's very 80s too. Gods on Voodoo Moon. And yeah, that was Gods on Voodoo Moon was followed by another handful of EPs with mostly noise rock, punk influenced sound. The band's early days definitely had a shifting lineup, but it eventually settled on Rob Zombie, Shawn Isolt on bass, Jay Ewinger on guitar, and John Tempesta on drums. And Tempesta would go on to work with Rob Zombie on his early solo stuff. Very first album was Soul Crusher in 1987. It was the first Zombie album, Zombie music, to feature audio clips from horror movies. And that would obviously continue on in years to come, all the way to his most recent album even.
Mm-hmm.
Album number 2 was Make Them Die Slowly, released in 1989. It was his first album where he was credited as Rob Zombie instead of Rob Dirt Straker. It was a shift away from their noise rock sound and began delving into the heavy metal sound that he would become known for and explore in later years. Album number 3 is Los Exorcisto, Devil Music Volume 1. Love that.
That's the best album name.
It does. It was a platinum-selling album that launched them into mainstream recognition with songs like Thunder Kiss 65, which I never realized, but that was the year he was born. That's what.
And that song is also on Guitar Hero, so if you've played Guitar Hero, you've heard that song.
Oh, yeah. That's right. And the song Black Sunshine as well, which is a sick song, too.
Yes, it is.
All right, and then let me see. Around 93, 94, Rob Zombie met Sherry Moon, and they would date for about 9 years before eventually getting married in 2002. And
On Halloween, by the way. They got married on Halloween.
oh, that's right. Gee, so on the nose. That's great. All right, and then White Zombie's last album was called Astro Creep 2000. Came out in 1995, and it had a heavier sound than Los Exorcisto. Described as white trash on acid metal, which is kind of thematic of things that would come later in like House of a Thousand Corpses, things like that. And yeah, had even more success for the band with songs like More Human Than Human, Supercharger Heaven, and one of my personal favorites on that album is Creature of the Wheel. And that one sets the tone for a disturbing number of songs about like satanic cars and stuff.
I love that.
I love that song too, yeah. I say Astro Creep 2000 was probably my favorite White Zombie album. Just because it's more straightforward, like heavy metal, and less stylized and kind of like groove metal, so to speak, than some of their earlier stuff. So I like that one. It's just heavy and hard rocking the whole fucking way through.
Oh yeah.
What about you, Kelsey?
Oh, are we picking like favorite albums from White Zombie?
I'm following the thingy. It says discussion time now.
Yeah, favorite albums or favorite songs or just how you how you were first introduced her. I mean, we guess we already kind of touched on that.
Well, yes and no.
Yeah. So I guess my top, if I'm gonna say it, like I agree. I think La Sexorcisto. I don't know how to fucking say that shit. It's like probably my favorite, even though I guess it's not popular to say that. Is it
There are some
popular to
good
say?
ones on there.
Oh yeah, I like that one, and I love Astro Creep. Those are like my two favorites.
Oh yeah.
And obviously, like Thunder Kids 65 kind of means a lot to me because it's the first like song I remember hearing from them, and also Creature of the Wheel, More Human Than Human. Like, obviously, I prefer his solo stuff.
Yeah.
This, and I think it's really sad that like the band isn't talking to each other really anymore. Some cheat that we don't know.
Yeah.
For like 15 years ago or something like that.
Yeah. There's some drama. I think some of it has to do with the ex-girlfriend. But no, like
I figured that too. When I was kind of looking into that, I was like, well, he started dating Sherry Moon like a couple years before Astro Creep 2000 came out. And yeah, obviously at that point, maybe was there some friction between the girls? I wonder.
Ooh. 1995 drama.
1995 drama. But yeah, and it's like, it seems like in most interviews, Rob Zombie just doesn't really want to touch it. He just doesn't really want to talk about it. He's like, it's private. You know, there are reasons we're never going to reunite, and you don't need to know them. Kind of thing.
Basically.
Which, you know, respect to him. But then also, there have been comments from, like, Sean Isolt, where she felt kind of snubbed by him releasing White Zombie box set on his own.
Really?
And yeah, she felt snubbed by that and said that, oh, well, me and Jay Ewinger, we were 2/3 of the band anyway, but, you know, no big deal, whatever.
So they're not making any royalties on that at all?
I don't know if they're making royalties on it or not. I didn't fully look into it.
I mean, if she's salty about it, I would assume that they're not getting royalties, which would be fucked.
I would assume, yeah, they're not getting royalties, or it was just done without consulting them at all. And yeah, so interesting.
Yeah.
What about you, Bree? Did you talk about your feelings on the White Zombie, or?
Okay, I didn't know that White Zombie and like Rob Zombie was like two different like things, but with the same person. Okay, I just liked songs that made me work faster. I couldn't exactly like go and like double check to see like what the song's name was.
Yeah,
because I was in the middle of work. So most of my Rob Zombie music that I know, I don't know the names of them. And I think that's where it started with my whole name thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I liked it, but I definitely think I like his solo stuff more than the White Zombie stuff.
Yeah, I'd have to agree overall.
Yeah, I'll say that because
it was a good start.
Yeah, they had a really good start, but like, I don't know, there was something about it. It didn't quite hit right for me. It was like,
yeah,
It was
kind of felt like
it's
they couldn't make up
good,
their mind
but
on their sound for me.
yeah, it was a little
Yeah.
confusing to see like what direction that they were going in. Because like some songs you were like, yeah, that one's pretty good, and then others you're like, almost. And then like there's a couple where you're
Yeah.
just like, oh no 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 no.
Yeah. I had lots of almost moments where it's like I could kind of see what they're going for, but nah.
Yeah, but I definitely like his stuff. That's where I was like, yeah. All right, cool.
All right. So, on that note, yeah, let's launch into Rob Zombie's solo music.
Yeah.
Yeah. After the split of White Zombie, Rob Zombie launched his solo career with White Zombie drummer John Tempesta and Mike Riggs on guitar and Rob Blasco Nicholson on bass as his supporting band. And their first album was Hellbilly Deluxe, 13 Tales of Cadaverous Cavorting Inside the Spook Show International. And it was really... You just kept doing emo album titles before emo bands were doing
Yeah.
it.
Oh my gosh.
Came out in 1998, and that was earlier than I thought for some reason when I first saw it, but it was like late 90s. It reached number 5 on Billboard 200.
Shit, seriously?
Very good, yeah. It's like super
Whoa.
mainstream. Zombie's highest selling album.
Yeah.
Heavily influenced by classic horror films, with many songs having samples and quotes from his favorite films.
Yep. And then later on, they decided to start using it in horror films and whatnot like that. And he even like composed the music for a video game, like the entirety of the music in there.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I learned
Oh, yeah.
this because I played the shit out of this game. It's Twisted Metal 3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That was my favorite freaking game to play for like the longest time. I didn't even know that he fucking directed the music for it.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Ah, he's seriously just all over the place.
Yeah. Okay.
Alright, let me see. Big songs from Hellbilly Deluxe were Dragula, which was featured in so many fucking movies, from The Matrix to all
It
sorts of
still
ones.
is.
It
Dear
still
God.
is.
Yeah.
And it was his second satanic car-themed song after Creature of the Wheel from frickin' Astro Creep, another satanic car song. And then Living Dead Girl was the other big one, another
Mhm.
great, awesome song. Necrophilia, big Necrophilia theme starting there in his solo career.
Oh man, really? I never would have known that.
Super Beast and Demonoid Phenomenon, which is another song on the same album, also about necrophilia. I really liked it. And album number... Sorry.
Sorry.
Album number 2 was The Sinister Urge, which came out in 2001, and it expanded on the heavy metal, industrial metal sound he had been going for, and the horror themes previously. The first week sales topped those of Hellbilly Deluxe, but while it was really successful initially, it didn't go on to reach the same sales as Hellbilly Deluxe. Big songs from this one are Demon Speeding, another satanic car song, because he just can't stop it. Never Gonna Stop. He's never gonna stop this satanic car song. Feel So Numb, and Iron Head, featuring Ozzy Osbourne on the choruses, and that one was really sweet. That was
Wasn't this like around the same time that he was like directing some of Ozzy's videos too? Because I know he directed a few Ozzy Osbourne music videos, and he still is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
yeah.
this was around the same time.
Yeah, I know they were like collaborating together
Oh yeah, they're friends.
fairly regularly. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Another note on the Sinister Urge. Dead Girl Superstar is another fucking song about necrophilia. Okay.
Well, think about us.
Right? We loved this shit. My God. Album number 3 was Educated Horses, which came out in 2006, 5 years after The Sinister Urge. And it was definitely Zombie's most experimental album, which is sort of like some slightly more acoustic leaning, or like,
Experimental for Rob Zombie, which means it was chill.
yeah, yeah, more chill. Yeah, acoustic, or like almost like psychedelic moments, psychedelia moments happening at times, which was, yeah, kind of cool. But overall, a little weak. It
It was a choice.
was a,
Many times.
yeah, yeah, perfect way of framing it. The name Educated Horses came from the circus. Uh, and it was a term that people just used to describe trained animals. Come see the educated horses. And while debuting strong at number 5 in the Billboard 200, it was also his first album to not receive any certification, meaning it didn't get platinum or gold or any type of certification like that. It was also his first album to feature John Five, previous Marilyn Manson fame.
That was so cool.
Yeah, I thought it was so cool that he crossed over and has played in both bands. Really great guitarist.
Yes.
It was also his last album on the Geffen label. Big songs are American Witch. Well, that one's actually pretty good. Probably one of my favorites. Yeah. Foxy Foxy, which is the end. Let It All Bleed Out, and The Lords of Salem. And The Lords of Salem will go on to be the title of his 2012 film.
Which I have thoughts on. Many
thoughts. All right, so we already kind of did discussion while we were doing that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so move on to films.
Oh, wait. Before we move on, can I mention some cool, like, little horror aspects about some of his music videos really quick?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, like, it'll be really quick, but one of my favorite things one of the reasons why I personally love Living Dead Girl a lot is because the music video is based on the silent film The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, which is amazing, and I'm gonna make you guys watch it one day because, like, it's just it's a perfect film. And then Dragula, I guess the car from that was named after the car from the TV series The Munsters, which, if you haven't seen that,
wow.
What's wrong with you? Like,
I didn't know it was. Yeah,
that was like his favorite one of his favorite TV shows was like The Munsters, of course.
Of course.
It was. But yeah, those were the 2 fun facts. I just thought it was cool because I really like it.
Nice. Yeah.
Oh, so I'm doing movies, right?
Hell yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So, let me go get the list up of his films and I'll go in order.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it wasn't on the thing. My bad. Okay. So, his first film is House of a Thousand Corpses, and that came out in 2003, and it is considered a black comedy horror film, which I don't think it was always considered a black comedy. I think, like, now that the years have, like, gone on, they've kind of labeled it a black comedy. I think he was totally being serious.
I agree.
So, this is a movie. I'll give, like, a little quick plot summary and just kind of some info about filming and stuff and how it was received. Yeah. So it's a movie pretty much like any other like 70s horror movie kind of stuff, this is when it takes place. It's 5 like young adults are on a road trip and they're writing a book about weird like oh my god, what do you call it? Like they're just stopping at weird rest stops and stuff and writing about weird like attractions that they're seeing.
Oh yeah, roadside attractions.
That's what it's called, offbeat roadside attraction. And that's how they end up meeting Captain Spaulding, not Dr. Spaulding, at his little weird, like, circusy museum of monsters and madmen. So there's more, like, circus influence, like you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
And it eventually leads them into meeting the Firefly I can't talk. The Firefly. Jesus fucking Christ. The Firefly family. And, that's all I'm going to say about it. It's a movie. It's a lot. It's pretty gross. Necrophilia everywhere. Of
It's
course.
really gross.
I
Yeah.
own it on DVD because I think it's funny. I think it's funny. I think the three main family members, Baby, Otis, and Captain Spaulding, are like literally the best parts of that movie. Like they're so well done, and like Otis is just
Yeah.
such a great horror character. And I liked how even though the movie's kind of all over the place, I like that he took from various different 70s horror films and some stuff about the Manson family and shit, because he has like a weird obsession with the Manson family, which
Oh, yeah, that's right.
you will
Celtic
see more in the
film.
Devil's Rejects than you will in this.
Yeah.
This one is definitely more cuckoo bananas than like the Devil's Rejects, which is the sequel, and that's all I'm gonna say about it because that was also a choice that a lot of people didn't like. Have you guys both seen it, or
Oh, House of a Thousand Corpses?
yeah?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I first saw that movie with you back in the
Oh,
day.
I probably made you watch it.
I'm pretty sure you did. And
Oh wait, did you like it?
I mean, in retrospect, I liked it. I ended up seeing it a second time as well.
Yeah.
I mean, and I did like it, but at the same time, it was like you were saying, where it was like, I liked it because it kind of made me laugh at times. It was just like, whoa, that's so fucking over the top, man. And, but I think he was like taking it dead serious. He was not intending people to have like this laugh out loud reaction to some of the moments in the movie.
I
But
think he like embraces that now, though. I think he's like, yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. He's since embraced his magnificent cheesiness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Brie?
I think so.
The end.
I think so. I mean, I know I've seen The Devil's Rejects. I am pretty sure I saw The House of Thousand Corpses.
I probably made
vaguely
you watch it, too.
remember. Pretty sure I watched both the Halloweens.
Oh, I have thoughts on that too.
Yeah. But yeah,
So, yeah.
no, I don't know. Maybe I have to
I
watch them
didn't
again.
either of the Halloweens, either of his Halloween adaptations.
I think I did because I don't remember watching like the really old ones. I remember kind of watching like semi-new, like I knew they were semi-new.
Travesty.
Yeah, so that's I probably have never watched the original Halloween. So I'm just throwing that out there.
Okay. Before we get on to that and me having a heart attack over you probably not seeing the original Halloween. Jesus.
Maybe, I don't know. I watched a lot, okay? I just don't remember them.
So after he did House of a Thousand Corpses, he did a sequel called The Devil's Rejects, which is very different in tone.
Yeah, way
yeah.
more realistic, serious kind of tone to it. Yeah.
It's kind of like a road noir Western horror kind of thing. Like it's very, very Western. Like the influences are like everywhere. It follows Captain Spaulding, Baby, and Otis as they escape a bunch of police officers because they're getting arrested for all the murders they, did.
For all those 1,000 corpses in their house.
And this movie is so good. This is literally just one of his few good movies. It also had a heavy influence from stuff about like the Manson family and a lot of true crime shit and a lot of westerns.
Yeah, a lot of true crime influence.
I think the only horror movie that he cited as an influence on this was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which you can see that. Like,
oh yeah.
But everything else was like he cited like Bonnie and Clyde, The Wild Bunch, Badlands.
Oh yeah, definitely. Bonnie and Clyde.
It was such a good movie. It was. I wish I still had it. It
was really good.
He had a lot of like famous older what do you call it? Like horror movie actors in it, which you will see in like other films of his. Like Malcolm McDowell eventually makes an appearance in the Halloween movies, and he's famous for being in like A Clockwork Orange. And,
wow.
Yeah, he's
nice.
He's awesome. I'm not going to give too much away because I really want people to watch that movie. I really want people to watch The Devil's Rejects. You don't have to watch 1,000 to watch this. Like, you can watch this as
Devil's Rejects is, like, actually legitimately disturbing and scary, Yeah,
the only part I have a hard time with is there's, like, a scene of, like, sexual assault that I'm like,
Yeah, exactly. It's just so, like, I'd hate to say well done, but realistically done. Yeah, it's just disturbing.
I'm just gonna go through the movies and you guys can give thoughts on ones that you've seen. That way we can just kind of like
Yeah,
get through it, if that's cool with
yeah.
everyone.
Yeah, that's fine.
After that, he directed a 2007 remake of Halloween. Um,
Like you just say that under your breath. You're like, I remember.
I actually got this movie for Christmas because, like, I think it was my stepdad, because I like Rob Zombie, I like Halloween, and that's how I first saw it. And it's not the worst thing ever, but it's pretty fucking bad. Um, he likes to. Rob Zombie is a big fan of white trash. Like, I don't know how else to fucking put it, and it's just
Oh yeah,
implemented. So,
seriously.
like, the original Halloween, it was like in like this suburban, like cookie cutter kind of world, and like it was, I don't know, and you didn't really know much about Michael Myers except for that he murdered his sister. Whereas in Rob Zombie's movie, like, we had to implement homophobic jokes, racist jokes, white trash bullshit. Knew a lot more. We spent more time with Michael than you ended up spending with Laurie in the end, which was very annoying. Because, like, the best part about Michael is that
Backstory. We
you know
need
a lot.
backstory. Yeah. Mm.
And it was just, it was I will say the guy that played Michael Myers was excellent. Like, the adult version dude, he was very, like, intimidating. It's kind of like with the Chainsaw Massacre remake, where that movie isn't very good, but Leatherface was like, wow, he was wonderful.
Hell yeah.
So that's the only redeeming
Nice.
factor I can say about this movie is Michael Myers and Malcolm McDowell as Dr. Loomis, because I just love him. And Brad
Nice.
Dourif, who does the voice of Chucky, is the sheriff in this movie,
Oh well.
which is really cool. And then Danielle
That's
Harris is in it as the best friend, and she was in Halloween 4 and 5 as Laurie's daughter.
Oh well.
So yeah, like I said, he likes to bring in like old horror actors.
Nice.
After that, we had Halloween 2 in 2009. I don't want to get into it because it was really bad. Didn't follow any of the storylines from the original Halloween movies. It was just some weird psychedelic bullshit. It was a choice. It was a choice.
Standalone bullshit.
Yeah, and he also came out with, in the same year, The Haunted World of El Super Beasto, which is based on one of his comics. That movie, I watched it one time. I don't, ugh. Okay, how do I describe this movie without wanting to kill
It
myself?
sounds like it should be
Um,
really good, which is just unfortunate, you know?
Yeah, so the film follows the adventures of El Superbeasto, a suave yet violent exploitation film actor slash director and former masked wrestler, and his sultry sidekick and sister, the super agent Susie X, played by Rob Zombie's wife, who is in literally every single one of his movies. I forgot to mention that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
It
Yeah.
has Dr. Satan from the House of a Thousand Corpses series, and it like, so if you've ever played Grand Theft Auto and you've had your character sit down to watch some of the television shows on there, that's the haunted world of El Super Beasto. Just raunchy sex jokes and fart jokes. That's
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh man. That's too
Like,
bad.
yeah. The comic is better, from what I hear.
Bummer.
We're almost done, I promise. After that, we had The Lords of Salem in 2012, which is his most pleasing to look at movie, but it's kind of boring. The acting isn't great. It's about witches in Salem, Massachusetts, and a recovering drug addict who works like as a DJ, played by Sherry Moon Zombie. It has Rob Zombie favorites like Ken Foree, who's like been in almost every single Rob Zombie movie, and so it's just not a lot happens. It's very pretty. It's a beautiful, beautiful movie, but it's not good. Like, if you get my drift, like, cinematography is great.
Yeah.
And John
Fun to
Hyde
look at.
did the movie score for it, so that's pretty cool.
Oh, that is pretty cool.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm trying to
Nice.
hurry this up. Goddamn. And then 2016, he did 31. I will defend this movie until the day I die. It takes place in like during Halloween, 1976, and it's about a group of carnival workers who are like traveling through the countryside, and they are attacked by a group of people disguised as scarecrows and taken to a strange building where like three elderly people are like dressed up all Aristotically with powder wigs and makeup, and just the whole, like, they're very extra. Tell them they're going to play this game called 31 and that it will last for the next 12 hours. It's literally they're placed into a series of maze-like rooms where they have to defend themselves against what they call the heads, which are several murderous clowns who tend to torture and murder them. I love this movie so much, and I know people hate it, but it's like campy and just so fun and so gory. And Miles McDowell is in it again, who I love. I really want you guys to watch 31. I love this movie so much. I know people
Yeah,
hate it, but
does
it's
sound
so
really
fucking good.
bizarre. Yeah.
So good. Once again, more carnival shit. I
Yeah.
don't think there's any necrophilia in this one though.
Wow. He's getting over his necrophilia addiction there.
Finally.
Right.
Last movie.
NA,
We're done after this.
Necrophiliacs Anonymous.
Yay. And then after that, we have the third movie in the Firefly series called Three from Hell, which should not exist. It is about
Trash.
yeah, because if you spoiler alert, well, no, I don't want to spoil Devil's Rejects, but the ending in Devil's Rejects makes this existing make no sense. Like, I don't know how else to put it.
More standalone bullshit.
Yeah, this movie was, I think, Sid Haig's last movie, and Sid Haig played Captain Spaulding. And it's literally about baby Otis and their other brother. I think it's his brother or cousin, I don't know, and they go on a killing spree, and they're driving around, and shit happens. They go to Mexico, and there's Mexican midget jokes, which is so cute.
Great classic.
Yeah, it's not the worst thing, but it should not exist in my opinion, and 31 is better. I don't care what anyone says. But yeah, he's also like directed episodes of like CSI Miami, and he's done stuff. He did the voice of like a character on the Justice League cartoon and Spider-Man New Animated Series cartoon, and he was a production assistant on Pee-wee's Playhouse. I always like to share that info. But yeah, that's it for film. I did it.
Voice camo for Guardians of the Galaxy.
That too. He did some stuff for Guardians of the Galaxy, but I don't like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, he was in both of them.
Unpopular opinion. Okay. Are we ready to talk about the second wave of music?
Yes. Go through it relatively quickly. What time are we at? How long have we been going?
46 minutes and 31 seconds.
To be fair, there's been a lot of pauses.
There have been a lot of pauses. I'll get through this quickly. Yeah. Alright. I think we can shorten it to 40. Alright. So yeah, there's all his filmography. And a lot of those, or at least several of those, he did during a big gap where he didn't do a lot of music.
Mm-hmm.
And in the whole Educated Horses period, there's a almost 10-year period where he only put out one album. And that was Educated Horses.
Yeah.
And then we get back to, in 2010, he makes a quote-unquote comeback with Hellbilly Deluxe 2, which is, it gives you hope, high hopes. Hellbilly Deluxe 2, Noble Jackals, Petty Dreadfuls, and the Systematic Dehumanization of Cool. It came out, 2010. It was, it's described by Zombie as being a sequel to the original Hellbilly Deluxe in both vibe and attitude, which is, lies, The first album, it was his first album after parting ways with record label Geffen, and was released through Roadrunner Records.
Yeah.
It was his fourth top 10 album in the U.S., which is good. I mean, still doing it. And this album, the tour for this album was surprisingly his first international tour as a solo artist, which I don't know how that's possible, but yeah,
weird.
Pretty nuts. Big songs in Hellbilly Deluxe 2 are Sick Bubblegum, What? And Burn.
All of those are bad.
Yeah, all of those are bad, and just like obviously really uncreative titles, and just he tried. He's just putting out music just to put out music. Is what it felt like. And
Album
let me
number
see.
5.
Album number 5 was called Venomous Rat Regeneration Bender, which when I first saw that title, I thought it was long, but compared to his others, that's a pretty fucking short album title. This one came out in 2013. It was his fifth album to be in the top 10 of the Billboard 200, but it also had the lowest first week sales of his career and would go on to be his lowest selling album to date. It had a mixed reception from critics and fans. Not great. There are a few songs on it that were really strong, and then the rest of it felt like he was just kind of sleepwalking through it. Kind of like Hellbilly Deluxe 2. Yeah. This album, though, was the first album of his to feature Ginger Fish, who was the drummer in Marilyn Manson in the early days. So there's another Marilyn Manson band member who's now part of his ensemble, former Marilyn Manson band member. Mm-hmm. Big songs on this one are Dead City Radio and The New Gods of Supertown, Rock and Roll in a Black Hole. I really liked that one.
Me too.
Behold the Filthy Pretty Creatures. That one's cool. And a cover of Grand Funk Railroad's We're an American Band, which was...
That's a very good cover, honestly. I really like that cover.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah. I didn't...
Okay. Hurry up.
All right, album 6. Album number 6. His final album was called, or final album so far, was called The Electric Warlock Acid Witch Satanic Orgy Celebration Dispenser.
Best name.
Best name ever. Came out in 2016 and continued the lineup of John Five on guitar and Ginger Fish on drums. Zombie has described it as seriously their heaviest, most fucked up musical monster to date. And I would have to agree. It's heavier and more energetic, and I feel like everyone's just having a lot more fun, and it feels more influenced by his live style and his live sound, and they were trying to let that through a little more.
Yeah.
And it turned out really great. His 6th consecutive album in the top 10, debuting at number 6. Big songs are Well, Everybody's Fucking in a UFO, The Hideous Exhibitions of a Dedicated Gore Whore, and In the Age of the Consecrated Vampire We All Get High.
I like this album, honestly.
I really like that one too. Yeah, Everybody's Fucking in a UFO. Can't go wrong with that. Yeah.
So that's all his albums.
All right.
Do we want to discuss live experiences really quick and do a summary before we go? Because it's getting long.
Oh yeah. My God. Rob Zombie in concert, yo.
Best concert I've ever been to.
Best fucking concert. Hands down.
Fuck yeah. He brings the energy, man.
It's all that, man. He's like 55 years old, and he's like fucking jumping around and like having the best time. And I'm exhausted looking at him. Like,
seriously. When I saw him, he's literally doing laps around the arena while singing and doing banter with the audience. And it's like, good God, man.
Mm-hmm. That, and I like how
Beyonce
much...
can't do that. Just saying.
Yeah, I like how much of the stages he uses, like, both for his presence and for, like, props.
Yeah, exactly. Really well done shows, too. Yeah, it's not just him and his band up on the stage playing.
Nah, there's...
Porn looking at you.
There's some shit going on. And it's nice.
Yeah. All the stage props and pyrotechnics anyone could ever ask for.
Mm-hmm. Fucking gorgeous.
I still remember Everybody's Fucking in a UFO from when I saw him, because, the fucking crowd was just lost their fucking minds.
Our friends lost their minds during Living Dead Girl and In the Age of Consecrated Vampire We All Get High, or is it just, well, he just called it Get High. Everybody lost their shit because that was like right after like weed. I think it was like a year or two after weed became legal here. And so, we had to mention it. So everybody there was already high, and it was just, we all, lost our shit to this song that we barely knew. It was so good.
Yeah, that was what was great about it, is even the songs I hadn't heard at that point, it was still just like, wow, this is a really great song. I've never heard before, but I'm down. This is fucking fun.
Even his bad songs are fun live. You still have...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm glad he's finally managed to bring that into his most recent album here, and I'm hopeful for the future.
Yeah, that album made me think, okay, so we're not screwed.
We're not screwed forever. Yeah.
Final thoughts?
Final thoughts?
We stand.
We stand. I don't know. Yeah. we already kind of covered influence on horror and culture and personal influence, personal experiences. Yeah,
And he
we stand.
or the way we dressed and shit in high school. That's for fucking sure. He was a
Oh,
big
yeah.
to listen to.
Seriously.
So anything else?
American classic. Period.
Do you want me to do the outro? Are we done?
Yeah, we know.
All right, guys. So that's it. Make sure to like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram. Make sure to listen to us either on Podbean, Spotify, or YouTube. And we are going to continue leaving links for you to for ways for you to help out the Black Lives Matter movement, and even some links for LGBTQ stuff, because it is Pride Month.
Happy Pride, y'all.
So yeah, just like, thanks for listening, I guess. I don't know. I'm out.
Adios.
Bye.